Hi everybody, I'm very pleased to be here today, talk to you about smart meters and energy. So just a few words to present myself. I'm Fabien, I work in Enedis. You already said it all. We are rolling out smart meters in France. Today we have almost 5 million smart meters in France, and in 4 years we're going to have 36 million smart meters in France. But first, what is a smart meter? It's quite simple. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a meter that reads your consumption of gas or electricity, and then it sends it digitally every day. And it's very, very useful for us because we manage a network, and it's very useful to balance the load, to integrate renewables energies, and also the bills with that are more accurate. So it's very useful for the network and for the energy system in general. And smart meters are rolled out in all Europe. In 4 years, we're going to have 245 smart meters across all Europe. So very useful for the network, but the question is, what happens if we apply MyData principles to smart meters data? So I'm going to show you some examples, some use cases of what happens if we do that. And I'm going to base the presentation of the principles of the declaration, of the MyData declaration. So the first one is empowerment. So what happens if we give this data back to the consumer? This data, actually, what it looks like is quite simple. It's just daily consumption. You can see hour by hour, day by day, month by month, year per year. That's quite simple. And what happens if we give it back to the customer? The first thing, they realize what energy is. They were not used to have consumption. They have bills, but they don't see their energy consumption. And almost all users started to have an awareness of that. And with some of them, around 10% of the experiment we led in a few years ago, they started to monitor their consumption, like every day, like a bank account, they were monitoring. And even for some of them, it was approximately 5%, and they started to reduce their energy usage. They're starting to make the link between what they do and their consumption. And when we ask what they do with it, what they say, it changed the way they consume electricity, and even 40% say they reduce their consumption. But we humble network manager, when we give the data in simple bar graphs, I think it's just a beginning. And we expect the market to do much more, which leads us to our second principle, which is portability, meaning what happens if we share data to other third parties, which can make much more complex and innovating services. We are starting to see some of them. I'm going to show you some examples. The first one, for example, is they don't present the electricity consumption with bar graphs. They present it during the different times of the day, and they show you the monthly consumption with a heat map. That's one example. A second one, if you can do games with it. You can make the consumer participate with games. You can make challenges, saying your challenge for the next 7 days, are going to reduce your night consumption by 5%. And you can compare it to his neighbors and so on. And we also have new services with chatbots. So it's an application on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, and you talk with them, and he gives you advice on how to reduce your consumption based on smart meter data. And we are convinced that it's just the beginning, that with electric vehicles, solar panels, it's going to be so much more services that can be brought back by the market. But what's important is also to allow the customer to control this data. It's great to share it everywhere, but you must have control. And I'm going to show you how it's done currently. So let's take the example of the chatbot. He asks, first, what is your address? You put your address, and it says, yes, you have a smart meter. Do you authorize me to get your hourly consumption? You answer yes, and he says, great. And now the coaching starts. I mean, for you, consent expert, it must be a bit of a surprise for you, because that's actually what happens currently right now for some services in France. The service did not check the identity. You can put any address. There's not any mention for the right of access or suppression. And actually, it retrieves more than just the hourly consumption. And what happens is when third parties collect consent, they do not do it always in a proper way. What we believe we should do is, of course, the customer gives the consent to the third party about the service, about the way his data is going to be manipulated. But we are also convinced that the network manager, as we are in this, must take a place to ensure this MyData principle that is control, and we must ask him his consent about the data transmission, which means we will check if he is really who we say he is, we will explain him what the data are, and we will give him control over the data. So for the consumer, it's going to be a bit more complicated, because he will have two consents to give, but that will ensure trust in the system. The last principle is interoperability. And the thing is, we start to have more and more European third parties, service providers. And what should be good if we have across Europe, with our 240 million meters, procedures that are comparable and data formats that are approximately the same, interoperable. And we're working with that on these committees. And there are use cases in which it already happens. We are testing one currently in the project Flexicency. There is a Britain a company who wants to offer demand response services to a customer in France, and who wants to rely on a company based in Holland to analyze the data. So it's happening. So to put it in a nutshell, we think that public energy distribution services must take a role in smart meter data and ensure that MyData principles are applied. And that needs to be done to ensure trust in energy service and to make energy transition a success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fabien, for the timing once again. So here I want to remind you to put your questions, comments, and everything in the screen.io, even though we don't take them between the presentations, but we will surely need them when we have the interactive session. But now let's move on, and we have the next presenter is Mrs. Jonna Fassbender. She is a founder of StyleScript, which is an innovative marketing technology company which eliminates consumer stress by offering personalized style advice. Jonna has extensive experience, for example, in marketing and sales strategies, user experience, concept design, etc. In this use case, she will introduce us the StyleScript Personal Style Advisor, which is one-stop e-commerce platform focusing on providing personalized fashion and shopping advice in secure and reliable manner. So, stage is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Does it work, the clicker?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can use the arrows.
Is it open? Okay. There we go. Just to start with, actually I was searching online and I thought, okay, this is really terrible. I mean, I'm wasting my time. I'm searching for hours and hours online on Google, finding this terrific hotel in Copenhagen, and all of a sudden I thought, okay, there should be one specific solution, a personal web. So look at what we've created now is StyleScript. StyleScript puts you in the center of the universe, of your personal shopping universe. And actually it is in contact with all the fashion retailers or all kinds of e-commerce platforms that you actually want to be involved with. I'm just going to walk over here because I have to push this button. What is the biggest frustration is that we are wasting our time. We're wasting time searching online. If I'm looking for this particular black dress I'm wearing right now, I mean, I have to search for hours and I find like 5,000 black dresses on Zalando. I found more than 169 on Google. So you can imagine there's a lot of waste and frustration over there. So just not only think of the frustration of the consumer, but also the frustration of the retailer, because they experience actually unhappy customers. They see a lot of high stock because stock is still there, they're not selling enough, and low margins. So they're frustrated too. look at the market. I mean, it's an enormous market. There's so much money going on over there. And if I can, with StyleScript, just make 1% better, you can imagine how much money that's going to generate for all the retailers. So normally you would say, okay, what's the problem? The paradox of choice. What we're solving is this paradox of choice. Just offer you the products that really match your personal style. How would that look? And how is it looking right now? I mean, this is just an example. We get data from all kinds of retailers. We put it in a standard format, a format that is really very visible, and you can use it as you want to. So see this as your style ID card. I would go with my style to an offline retailer and say, okay, this is me, just bring me the products that really match my style, and I can use it on each and every online platform by just showing this StyleScript profile. And of course you can also do it for travel. You can do it for cult, for art, for books, for music, all kinds of things, but now we focus on the vertical fashion. How it works? We match. We match persons with products, and we do that just on an ID, so identity. And of course that generates a lot of money for the retail. The stakeholders. So what we do is we use machine learning, artificial intelligence. We detect and match style patterns. We then generate a 360-degree view of you as a person, and we can do the matching, as I already mentioned. But for the consumer, the most important thing is you can take this profile wherever you go, so it's portable. And you have control. So if you want to delete your StyleScript profile, you just throw it away. If you want to enrich it, you can do it as you want to. And of course, it's totally personalized and centered around you. In the last 50 years, if you would go to a retailer, you got this one-on-one personal advice. This nice guy who's advising you in the best way possible. You would go to Walmart, or you would go to Neiman Marcus, and you get this information from all these salespeople over there. But they cost a lot of money. What we have generated is a machine learning personal assistant. And this one is going to help you wherever you are. So then you can really treat service for millions of customers. I will go through this really quickly, but in the end, it's all about personalization. Automation leads to conversion. And that's what we do. But we respect privacy. And I think you all know much more about GDPR, know more about what that means. I mean, I heard so many good things over here today already, but we really respect it, and we really believe that if we respect this, then you can go to the best possible situation, and it is. Imagine a future where all online data is filtered, tailored to your personal preferences. So, again, this is how it works. You're in the center of the universe, and it's all about you. But then, the retailers, they should think about GDPR, and they actually don't really think about it enough. So, we had a really hard time, and sometimes we still have, to get the right information from the retailers, just giving their data from their customers so that we can deliver the best personal recommendations. And now GDPR is getting closer, so they have to find a reason, and they have to have the solutions. So what are they actually, they see the problems of how do they encrypt data? They're not used to it. How do they change ownership? They're not used to, because they always see it as a competitive advantage. How do we deal with this portability? I mean, are you going to take the data from Amazon to Zalando, and how are you going to do that, and what does it mean for us? So all these questions are raising, and we try to find a way together with them to actually value the customer data. So not only for the retailer, but also for the customer. So, okay, then the whole thing is, how does it work? And there we partner with Key. Key is Key Trust Principles. Maarten is also one of the guys who is going to pitch here. He will do it in a few seconds. But we do it based on these key principles, because then, and I'm really going to show you quickly, for one retailer, you go, start making your style profile, you will then scan your profile, and because you have all things encrypted, you can really make connection with the retailer, you can talk with a personal shopper, you can shop, so you just go to a site, you say, okay, I want to shop this particular item, I scan the encrypted QR code, and then I say, okay, just bring it to me, I purchase it, and thank you for this connection. I can enrich my profile, and everything I do is all around me. So, where are we right now? connecting our customer, giving back personal data to them. And that's the first step we're taking now with all retailers, but it's getting there each and every day towards a total view of personal data. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonna. Okay, welcome, welcome. There is a few places still. Okay, it's time for our fifth presentation, fifth case. Our presenter, Xavier Lefebvre, is the CEO and founder of the Fair and Smart. Fair and Smart aims at providing everyone with the technical means to take control over the personal data easily and securely. Xavier has experience in retail and business, publishing businesses, and he has contributed in several worldwide e-commerce platforms and real-time dashboards building. So this frictionless permission data sharing case shows how an organization can easily ask an individual to share some personal data with a consent for specific use. And this is demonstrated by two approaches in car insurance and home insurance, isn't it?
This is it.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, frictionless permission data sharing, what is it about? If we want to make human-centric data happen, if we want to make it mainstream, our opinion is that we make benefits concrete, both for individuals and for organizations. And one way to do it is to enable frictionless permission data sharing. What does it mean for us? Frictionless means that it has to be easy, almost on demand, in a data as a service approach, and rely mainly on standards as much as possible. Permission under the control of the individual, and as such it is highly contextual, so the context has to be taken into account. The data then will be accurate and has to be minimized as well, not to waste. And the sharing itself has to be secured and GDPR compliant. What kind of benefits can we expect from such a system? Of course, swiftness and efficiency, both for individuals and businesses, transparency and trust, and this is all what we are all looking for here. Quality of data and quantity also, optimization, and at last, more interactions and better relationships between individuals and organizations. So two use cases in the insurance sectors. Use case one, in France, all our goods are covered by our home insurance. So here, thanks to a trust request, which is a template I will present just in a few seconds, we can automatically adjust the level of your coverage. And the second use case is a car insurance request for proposal and quite automatic subscription, designed with our API. So what is the trust framework? Trust is an acronym for the type of data which is required, the retention period, the usage, so it's almost similar to the purpose, so it's the organization's point of view. What's the sharing benefit for the individual? And finally, is there a third-party sharing? Giving those 5 informations to an individual before asking us to share the data gives him and allows him to make the best decision before accepting or declining. Now, let's go to the demonstration. So we're making a live demonstration of the platform, so we're on the sloop. Okay, so this is the business interface. And this is, let me introduce you to the personal data store of Pascal Martin, which will be our guest today. So Pascal Martin manages all kinds of stuff with his personal data store, and he's just added a new thing to the list of his belongings. So there's a notification up there, which has happened, that the total amount of his belongings exceeds the current, you can go, Nicholas, thank you, exceeds his insurance coverage by more than 10%. So, do you want to notify your insurance company? Yes. Notify. And now, let's go to the Fair and Smart space of the insurance company of Nicholas. In our notifications, oh, Pascal sent you a message. Let's see that. So here it is, but it's hard to read, but Pascal wants you to know that the amount of his belongings has exceeded his insurance coverage by more than 10%. Oh, great, but on the right-hand side, I have all the data that I own, that the company owns about Pascal, and we don't have access to this data. So, well, let's send him a trust request. The type of data. So, in the list, oh, Pascal made it shareable with me, that's great. So I'm requesting the total amount. What's the retention period? I just need 1 day to make a quotation. So here we continue with the usage. So what am I gonna do with that? So it's a quotation. This is almost it. It's okay, I think. You get the ID. Let's go on, and then we've implemented the set of icons published by Open Knowledge Finland last year to make it easy for Pascal to make a decision, so thank you guys if some of you are in the room. So it's a contract, it's based on the current contract, and we'll also ask Pascal for his consent for an improved services. Okay. Let's go. And then the sharing benefit is a better protection for Pascal. And is there any third-party sharing? No, we don't need it in this case. So we click no. And then we can submit. Thank you. And then we submit the request. And instantly, Pascal will receive a notification that a trust request has been issued to him by his insurance company. And then, do you accept it or not? And if Pascal accepts it, then the data is automatically shared with the company. Next, second use case, very fast. In services, it's a more complicated. Sharing. It's multiple sharing of multiple data with multiple companies. So let's launch this tool. It's a car insurance RFP tool. So Pascal chooses here the car he wants to assure. Let's take the Peugeot. He can choose either all those insurance companies or only 2 of them, and then go next. And automatically, this service will browse the personal data store of Pascal and select all the relevant data that are necessary to make a good quotation. If we can go down, so here all the information about the car, who is the main driver, is there a second driver, how everything goes. 20 seconds left, okay. So we're almost done. Can't you, maybe we will. Okay, so this is it. This is the demo effect anyway. But the idea is that multiple sharing with multiple companies and consent receipts are automatically generated. So thank you very much.